I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never should.
All right, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Reckless Musecast. I'm Joe Garza.
And I'm Ben DeLessio.
All right, so we got a lot of cool things to talk about, a lot of crazy, stupid shit going on in our culture right now. But before we get into that stuff, I want to talk about my Hunter S. Thompson dream.
Yeah, I want to hear about this. And usually I don't give a shit about people's dreams, but you are talking about Daddy Hunter, so
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. People's dreams are usually pretty stupid, but this one is particularly
as
cool.
Dennis Reynolds says in Always Sunny, it's unless I'm in it or someone's having sex, I don't care.
Exactly.
But I guess this isn't, or Hunter S. Thompson's in it.
Okay, so Hunter S. Thompson, the Gonzo journalist, big influence on us, or a real rebel badass journalist guy. So I had this dream that I was like his intern or his assistant or something, right?
His intern or assistant?
I was his intern assistant
right.
guy. And we were staying in a hotel together. We were staying in a shitty hotel room. And it was like an old one from like the 60s. Like it was really old, shitty furniture. And there were two beds. And of course, the room was just littered with, beer cans and cigarette butts and pieces of paper and all kinds of shit. And so Hunter Thompson, so I'm sitting on the couch, this old moth-eaten couch, and Thompson's walking around, and he's got one of those old rotary telephones, and it's got a really long cable. And he's yelling at the desk clerk, and he's yelling at him about, like, we need 16 cases of beer, and we need 4 sandwiches, and 8 jugs of potato salad. It's just a huge order. It's tons of food and alcohol. And he was doing this thing where he would like yell and get really angry, and then he would calm down, and then he'd get really angry again, and then he'd calm down. So yeah, I want this. And what do you mean you can't get it to me right now? Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, well, thank you very much. Then I think that'll work just fine. Wait, hold on. What did you just say? So it's like he's just going back and forth. Yeah. And so finally, I turn around. I was like, dude, give me the phone. I'll talk to the desk clerk. You do your thing. I'll take care of it. And he goes, all right, fine. So he throws the phone to me, and the desk clerk is super nervous. And he's like, look, we can get you all the things you want. We'll get it to you within the hour, but please just make sure that Mr. Thompson does not trash the hotel room. We've got priceless furniture in there. And so I turned to Hunter and I said, hey, Hunter, make sure that you don't mess up the furniture because it's really expensive. And then he looks at me and then he nods approvingly, and then he goes, oh, very good. It's important for my lawyer to know these things before the lawsuits begin. And so I was like, oh shit, he's gonna trash the furniture. So anyway, so I was like, all right, thank you so much. If you just get us all the food and beer within the hour, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on Hunter. Thank you. I hang up. And so I turned to Hunter and I said, hey, Hunter, why do we need so much food and alcohol? We're only going to be here for one night. And then he turns to me and he goes, we need fuel for our excess.
Wait, that's such a good line.
I think that Hunter was actually in my dream briefly. But anyway, so then
I wish my dreams made that much. Oh, yeah.
I know. Oh yeah, we're all getting to the end now. So we sit down on the couch while we're waiting for the food, like this massive fuck ton of food and alcohol to arrive. Yeah. And then he sits down, and it's one of those stupid dreams where just before something really cool is about to happen, you wake up. So he sits down, he's got papers and pens. He goes, okay, when you're going to write a story, the first thing to remember is, and then I wake up. So it's like he was about to show me the secret of writing, and then I wake up. But
I wish my dreams made that much sense. My dreams don't make any sense, like, ever. They're never, I don't know if that means anything, but like they're never coherent. If that was my dream, it would be like Hunter S. Thompson riding a dragon while this person who in my dream is my mother but doesn't look anything like her. Like, does that ever happen to you in dreams where it's like this person in your head is this person, like, is your mother, is your brother, is your friend, but they don't look anything like that. But as far as you're concerned, right? So like, and it would be just, and they're all speaking Chinese. Like that would be my dream. I don't know what to do with that. I have nothing to do. Yeah. But anyway.
Most of my dreams are like that, but that was a particularly good one.
I'm jealous. But that's very cool. Maybe it's a sign.
Yeah.
Well, look. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm kind of disappointed you didn't ask me about my new outfit.
I thought that was a New Jersey thing.
No. So, like, I don't know. I feel like if you got a haircut or you wore a new outfit or something, I would mention it. And I'm kind of disappointed you didn't say anything about it. But yes, this is what people are going to think is derivative of Kim Kardashian's Sharia chic look at the Met Gala. But no, I had this outfit picked out way before that. So I want to set the record straight.
Well, you're a lawyer. Are you going to file any lawsuits against her? Or is it copyright infringement? Or
no, she would bury me. But but that's okay. I'm going to take this off though, because it's really hard to breathe. Hold on.
Hey, there he is.
Jesus. It's so hot in those sweatpants.
You're not going to make it in this modeling industry, dude. The modeling industry is going to eat you alive.
Oh. All right. Okay. Anyway, and we're back.
All right.
All right. So this is episode 8.
Put it back on. Put it back on.
Of the Meckless Musecast.
Yes.
And here we are. It's Tuesday, September 21st.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today? We're talking about a few different topics.
Yes.
With the abortion that is the activist TV show, which makes me feel like I'm living in a South Park episode. And I wish I tweeted this. I would pay, because I think some of it has been recorded. Like I will pay any amount of money to see that footage.
Yeah.
I won't say anything about it. If you're out there with a CBS, I think maybe it's like CBS. If anyone is listening to CBS, get me that footage. I will pay good money for it, because I want nothing more than
It's cringe fest. It's funny that you use abortion as a description of it, because I just wrote an article about the activist. It's going to go live tomorrow as of this recording. And I ended it with an abortion reference. Let me pull it up real quick. It's still in my story.
They're very popular right now, or actually might be very unpopular depending on how the Supreme Court rules. But I don't know if we want to get into that. We can. I'll get into anything. But
I'm not talking about like whether abortion's good or bad. I'm just talking about it in relation to the activists, because I just wrote an article and I just used that. So the activists. So it was originally going to air on October 22nd. Ostensibly of this year, but since then it's been, because of the backlash, which we'll get into, it's been pulled. There's just sort of like an unannounced date for it, and so I ended the article by saying, since the show was so flawed from its conception, maybe it's best CBS makes an appointment with Planned Parenthood and just gets rid of the damn thing. I'm sure pro-lifers won't have any issue with their choice. But it was I just wrote that line like an hour ago before you used that thing.
Well, we mind melded.
Yeah. But okay, so the activists. Oh God.
So do you want to explain what the original plan was?
Yeah.
As far as you know.
Yeah. So here's a brief description of it. So it was a show on CBS, and this is from some article talking about it. So CBS thought it had a win when it announced The Activist, a reality show where 6 contestants would compete in a variety of activism-themed contests before appearing at a summit of world leaders in Italy, a format that press materials called awe-inspiring, groundbreaking, and sure to inspire real change. So
do we know what the 6 causes we're supposed to be?
There were 3 causes. I think it was like education, environment, and health, I think.
I mean, can't fight those. You can't pick 3 better causes. I love this so much.
Yeah.
It is and I think I say a lot of things are the epitome of our culture, but this really is the epitome of monetizing activism, obviously, and social media and woke culture. Yeah. And you know what? Some of the causes very well might be like laudable. That's fine. I very well might agree with them, but it's just like Hollywood, and I don't know if it's Hollywood necessarily, but media that have to get their big slimy tentacles into anything. They can't just let anything be pure. And I guess activism, I mean, I don't know if it's been pure ever really, but at least it had the facade of being pure, like people putting their efforts and money towards causes that they believed in, whether you do or not. And of course they have to go make a fucking show about it, and it can't just be because they have what is it? It's in a South Park. It's actually in a fucking South Park episode where what's it? The smug episode where there's this giant cloud of smugness like floating over the US, and then there's the other small cloud of George Clooney's acceptance speech at the Oscars where he says like Hollywood takes basically like takes credit for the fucking civil rights movement. It's like no you didn't. And actually this is a good point. So let's continue with this because I watched a video a Jacobin video recently. I like their show, and they were talking about why are liberals so obsessed with like movies and kind of media in general, but movies are the big one. Like everything is political. It's a lot of pandering and more like everything is just about representation, morality, and things like that. Why are they so obsessed with it? Well, because it's easy to put it out there. You take X director from X race and make a story about X amount of people, and then it's like, oh, look, progress. And while it's progress in a way, and I like to use that word, it's a change in a way, I'll say instead. It's not like real progress for anything. And also Jen Pan, who I like a lot, she's Asian, and she was like, because really the whole point of this came out, Crazy Rich Asians. This might have been an old video. I didn't check the day. It might be from like 3-4 years ago. But she's like, that just like wipes out like how important Crazy Rich Asians was, and all of these obviously like white liberal movie critics, lauding it, and it's like no, that kind of wipes out like the decades and decades of Asian filmmakers and Asian-centered films. Like, of course, there's a dark history there with stereotypes, like every race kind of has been, but. I mean, just to, and again, of course, it's a Jacobin, so it's very like left-wing working labor. And of course, it's like fucking crazy rich Asians. Like these people represent, if you've seen the movie, I don't know if you have, like not the 1%. These are like the 0.00001%. That movie does not resonate.
Right.
Who live in fucking like tiny ass apartments in Hong Kong or in rural China. Or in Seoul or Los Angeles or wherever it is. It's just, but of course it's groundbreaking because they have it's about Asian people. Like, no, actually I kind of like how Parasite almost went like a backlash to that, which is an incredible movie.
Great. It's terrific.
One of the best movies I've seen in the past few years. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, and it's also just how superficial the attempts are to foster genuine change. It's like, okay, this is CBS. Like, they're not known for their philanthropy. Like, sure, they probably dabbled in philanthropic causes over the years.
They've cut some checks, but that's it. And it's easy. That's nothing. That's pennies.
So, like, right off the bat, it's like a very cynical attempt to kind of cash in on this whole woke activist, social justice, Power Ranger thing going on. So first of all, like it's
Power
not
Ranger. That sounds too cool. I call it LARPing, which is also cool. I LARPed, but
but like it's like CBS. It's not like the executives got together and said, like, what if we started doing something that actually mattered? They didn't do that. It was just like, hey, woke millennials love this stuff. What if we do a show that's catered just to them? So right off the bat, it's a very cynical attempt at kind of cashing on this craze, right? And then. And here's where the controversy starts to kick in. The show got a lot of backlash because, and I think rightfully so, because from woke people, it's very rare that I agree with woke people on these things. But they brought up how the show is being hosted by 3 celebrities who are going to be judging the virtueness of the contestants. And so the 3 celebrities were Julianne Hugh. All I know that she was on Dancing with the Stars. Maybe that.
She's like a blonde lady.
And then Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, and then
she's just famous. Is she famous for anything other than being married to a Jonas brother? Or is she famous in her own right? I have no idea.
I think she was. She's an actress, model, and film producer. Is what it says here.
Okay.
And then Usher.
Heard of him.
So I understand. I actually agree with a lot of the backlash of like, hold on, you're getting 3 millionaires to critique, like actual causes and things.
And I can't. What I wish, because like the best thing about these shows, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah,
I just want to get the thought out.
Yeah.
The best thing about these shows is the asshole judge. There has to be. If they're all nice, no one likes that. So like, first of all, who's going to be the asshole? And like, what would they say to these like, not like 19-year-olds who are working towards some cause? It's like, shit, you're shit. I hope like everyone, you suck at this. You should quit. You shouldn't help anyone ever.
Yeah.
And like, I just would have loved to see what they would have done there.
Yeah, no, they have to get an angry British guy, whether it's Simon Cowell or Gordon Ramsay or something. Yeah, and then okay, so here's the description of the original format of the show. The activists will compete in missions, media stunts, digital campaigns, and community events aimed at garnering the attention of the world's most powerful decision makers, demanding action now. So it's like, and then the competing activist success is measured via online engagement, social metrics, and hosts' input. So it's like you're going to be measuring this based on like the amount of Twitter likes. Like that's how you're going to determine how successful something is. Like
I think actually that's the thing. So it's not going to be about like profit or what's the show Trump hosted, the Apprentice.
Yeah.
Like they made shit. I mean, it was all judged. I mean, I watched that show in like high school. I remember for class. Yeah. And it would be the only episodes I remember where they had to create a cereal box design, and the other was like they're actually at a Rutgers football tailgate and like selling steak, like how to go about doing that, like whole steaks or cut it up and eating contests and all that stuff. But there was something kind of more quantifiable there. Yes. Or not, or just like I mean, usually judges, whatever, fashion judges, singing judges, just do they like it? But here it's like, would it just be? I think it'd just be like social engagement. Like, how many likes how many retweets did your like snarky climate change tweet get?
This isn't like how many houses can you build for the homeless in a certain amount of time. This is just awareness. It's just awareness.
It's awareness. Yes, that's what I always love when you always see the breakdown of these crooked, corrupt charities. It's like how the money spent, like 9% goes to helping the key demographic, 48% goes to administrators, and the other I don't remember, it's made up numbers, the other 35 whatever percent goes towards awareness.
Right, exactly. Or when you have like these big charity galas and it's like $1,000 a plate, and it's like, okay, it costs $50,000 to host the event, but we raised $60,000 because so 10 grand. That's
all right. Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about the Met Gala. Let's do it. let's talk about it, because that was a hot little potato when that came up. It's beyond parody, and I don't like that, because a lot of what I do is satire and parody, and I can't keep up, Joe. I can't do, and you have AOC wearing the tax the rich dress. And again, every single Culture War whatever podcast has talked about this, but this is my platform, and all 900,000 of our listeners are listening to hear my takes on this stuff. So so I get the argument that I got inboxed when I put the shit on my Instagram, just like she's at the Met Gala, ... right? Just picture of the tax the rich dress. And it's like, well, she's doing it in the face of all those people. Like, she's not there like Zach De La Rocha at the Grammys or whatever. Do you remember that when he like climbed up do you have any reference what I'm talking about?
Sounds familiar.
Like the early 2000s, Zach De La Rocha, who was the lead singer, the lead rapper to Rage Against the Machine. He like climbed up something, I think it was the Grammys, and was like causing a whole scene, like pissing people off, which is annoying, but like that's different. That's not what happened here. She wasn't like tax the rich and then like she's in with all these people. She loves these people. She like they all support. This wasn't some turn of the century robber baron like Carnegie and Rockefeller snooty men. And then she goes in with this like tax the rich dress. Like these people all would vote for her. They all support her. They don't give a shit. They're gonna hide their money. They have so much money, it doesn't matter. And it's not brave. It's not fucking brave. It's comical. And of course, she's been defending herself for like a week now about this, like pulling up dictionary definitions and stuff. It's like, no, you were tone deaf. Like, that's it. Stop trying to defend it. You were tone deaf. Apparently her designer or whatever is like married to extreme wealth, big bank, old money, doesn't pay her taxes. I might be messing up some people here.
Gatsby money.
Like, well, Gatsby was new money at the time. He'd be old money now. That's why they hated him, because he was actually new money. But
that's right. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's all just, the point I'm making is that it's all just superficial. It's all for her squad to go, and her base to go, oh my God, look at her, like, tax the rich, we love that. When like everyone agrees with you at that venue. It's not brave. You didn't do that in like the Texas Republican National Convention or something.
Right.
You know, that'd be a little different. And then, you know, you had what I called, I put up a pic on Twitter. It was like 4 of the big, it was Rapinoe, her, some other old person I didn't know who had some women's rights, pretty bland women's rights. And then my favorite, the Peg the Patriarchy. And I wanted to write like, I'm the patriarchy. But her, and she's also married to like old snooty English or wherever the fuck she's from, inbred country.
Right.
And it's just so fucking tone deaf, and it doesn't do anything. And yes, they're buying these plates, and well, first of all, they're not buying them. They're being sponsored. So it's not like AOC dropped 35 grand. She's very, even on her congressional salary alone, she's like $172,000. The average American makes like $55,000. Like, you're rich. I know she's not like super rich. She's going to be, because that's what they all do. They all just, you know, they all play the stock market, and they all get in, and it's all just a stepping stone, every single one of them. But like, she drives a Tesla, shops at Whole Foods. Like, she was never, and I don't mean to go on an AOC rant here, but the thing I can't stand is that she's not from, I think people think she's like from the district she represents. She's not.
No.
She's from a very wealthy, like Westchester County, or maybe more upstate suburb.
Right.
Like, she's not from the Bronx Queens split district that she represents. And I don't think people realize that. I think more of that came out this time. Yeah. But anyway.
Let's say something nice about her. She's really pretty.
Okay. She's Congress pretty, which is good. Like, that's fine. It's like, it was teacher pretty. Like, there were hot teachers, but it was relative to the teachers, right? Like, if they were just out, maybe. I mean, maybe you did have hot teachers. I think I had some that were attractive, but it was the same thing. I was like, oh, they were attractive for their area. So I would say, like, for Congress, she's a 10. We got Dianne Feinstein there too. Like, well, who are the hottest Congress people? That's something that's a segment we should do. Would I fuck them? Congress. Well, Sarah Palin's not there anymore.
No.
She had strong MILF vibes.
Yeah.
AOC. I think I can't stand her, but I think what's the other squad member who wears the hijab?
Oh yeah, what's her face?
Ilhan Omar's pretty.
Yeah,
she's pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know who's the crazy one in Colorado. Not Laura Loomer. She's the one who lost in Georgia. The one who like brings a gun to the fucking congressional floor.
Is that Marjorie Greene or whatever? Or?
No, she's Georgia. She's Florida. She's like Trump crazy. I think this one is too. Okay. But the one in Colorado, I don't know. Okay. She's got Sarah Palin vibes, but like younger.
Oh, okay.
She's pretty hot.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the dudes.
Is it Kristi Noem? But I know she's not a congresswoman, but she's
Noem.
She's the governor of one of the Dakotas.
South Dakota governor, super hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very hot. She's Congress hot.
Yeah.
Dan Crenshaw is a good-looking man. He's got the eye. So I'm a huge fan of the eye patch.
Yeah, me too.
I think it just automatic characterization. Like, I remember learning about this. I took this advertising and propaganda class in college.
Yeah.
And like, I love advertising campaigns that like work. I always, because there's so many shitty campaigns and commercials and stuff that when they actually work, I think they're really cool. And there's this one, I think it was, don't quote me on it. It might've been Dockers, but it was like some just khaki company, like pants. Yeah. And they just had this normal looking, regular looking model. He was like a 40, 50-year-old white man back in the day. And they just like put an eye patch on him. And that was it. They didn't change anything else, and it was like instant characterization. It was a huge success. Like that was someone just went, you know what, put an eye patch on that man. And it fucking worked. And I love that. So Dan Crenshaw is very hot.
Yeah, like if I was gay, like if they forced me to be gay, like I'd probably
they're going to. They will.
Yeah, they probably,
they will.
Well, I mean, it's like that
That's
Snake
coming.
Plissken. It's like that Snake Plissken, Escape from New York thing, or
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
right off the bat,
exactly. It's like there's never been a like persnickety guy with an eye patch. They're always just like bad. You kind of have to be.
Yeah. When you
You
see
have to
a dude with an eye patch, you're automatically like, this dude's he fought in a war or something. Like,
Yeah,
like right off the bat. Oh right, the activist.
Well, no,
So-
I'm still on.
Oh, you're still on the-
Congress
you're still on
people we should
AOC?
fuck.
Okay, yeah.
No, just Congress people we should
Oh,
fuck.
Congress.
Oh, there's a pretty Mickey Sherrill. She's in New Jersey. She's like kind of a centrist Democrat. She's pretty hot.
What's her name?
I think it's
Mickey?
Mickey or Nikki Sherrill.
Nikki Sherrill.
She's like one of these centrist Democrats. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any. I don't know, but there's definitely a list like hottest Congress people, and I can tell you the least hottest.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
there's
that's
not
not
bad,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the activist.
Oh right, yeah.
I'm gonna think of some others. So I'm definitely blanking on some.
I don't even know if there are that many though.
I don't know. You don't think we could come up with 10? I think we could. I'm going to. I mean, it's happening.
What about okay? So she's not a politician. She ran Crystal Ball. I think she ran to be a congresswoman. Does she count?
Oh, like Crystal? Yeah, like Crystal Sagar.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely. Crystal's
Yeah.
super hot.
yeah. She
Did
ran.
she
for
run?
something.
She
She
did
ran to be something,
And like
yeah.
Virginia or
Something
West
like that.
Virginia, Kentucky. She's from like that area. I think she's from West Virginia, but she's lived in like that kind of
Yeah,
mid-south area.
yeah.
Yeah. The guy the Republican running for governor is a good-looking man, Chattarelli. I don't think he's gonna win, but I think he would shoot up to the top. He's got like that kind of could be a mafioso, but
Yeah.
he's like he kept the straight and narrow or not, whatever. It's New Jersey politics.
Yeah.
Not really known for that, but I don't mean to stereotype my Italian paisano, but you know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess he's handsome, like in a sleazy politician way. Gavin Newsom.
He is handsome. Yeah. Gavin Newsom's definitely handsome. I can't stand him,
Yeah.
but he's definitely a handsome guy. I
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah. Yeah. Gavin Newsom's a good looking guy. I wonder who's the hotter party. Because I think right off the bat you're gonna say people are gonna think Democrat, right? It's a little more diverse. You probably have less like older men,
Right.
but Republicans got like a lot of blonde ladies.
Yes.
And you do get those you do get those surprises. There's some I think there's some good looking Latino Republicans in California and Texas and Florida. Yeah, some Cubans.
Yeah.
So I think I gotta research this. We'll bring it up next episode.
Yeah, yeah. And if anybody wants
I'm
to
on
leave any suggestions, leave them in the comments.
I'm on the case. Yeah. The activist. Do we have anything else to say about this show?
Yes. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
I've requiem for the activists. I'm beside myself that the show is not coming into fruition. So, to explain, it's not canceled, literally
Not
canceled. It's just turning into like what documentary? Like
It's-
that's what we need.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need like
it's-
Twitter feeds of young activists,
Yeah.
and they're, this is racist.
Right.
Like this is literally violence. Like
Yeah. So so now it's being reformatted into like a one-off documentary thing.
sure it'll be
If it even comes out, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets sort of just quietly shelved. But here's the thing.
Destroying the dreams of 6 young people. Just shatter.
So actually, I have a funny quote from someone. This is from an article. This is from an NPR article talking about the backlash.
Great.
And this is Clover Hogan. She was somebody who was a potential contestant. She actually auditioned for the show.
Okay.
She's a 22-year-old climate activist and founder of youth advocacy organization Force of Nature. She wrote on Twitter that she was interviewed by show producers and was offered a spot on The Activist, which she says she declined, stating, I remember thinking I was in a Black Mirror episode. When the call ended, I cried and called my mom. The whole time, I was made to feel as if I was failing a test. Activists, you made this random 22-year-old adult, like this actual human adult person, cry and call their mom. How dare you, activist? Like,
well, it does sound like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. Like a weird Hunger Games thing of turning activism into like this life or death situation.
That's the fourth Hunger Games book, actually. It's just they're just doing the activist, but if you lose, you die. Like that's you don't get enough likes on Instagram or TikTok. Do they have likes on TikTok? I don't know how TikTok works.
I don't know.
I'm just convinced it's the Chinese spying on us anyway. I know it's been debunked, but I mean, I can believe whatever I want.
No, you sure can. So
for country.
So I agree with the wokies when it comes to like the hypocrisy of the activist, but they're also revealing a lot of their own hypocrisy here, because
how so?
They're totally fine when like social media accounts will ban somebody for being a little problematic. They're totally fine with major corporations putting rainbow flags on their website during Pride Month. They're totally fine when Gillette puts out advertising campaigns around toxic masculinity, or when Cartoon Network releases a campaign about encouraging children to believe that skin color matters. But when you have a TV show around activism, that's crossing the line. It's like, really, you're like this one instance of a corporation watering down and just like you're trying to cash in on your activism, that pisses you off. But all those other major corporations doing the exact same thing, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I get it. This though, there are those instances every once in a while where like we all come together, and we just kind of call out some entity on their shit, and it's like, well, one side can say this is just dumb for the kind of more objective reasons, right? And then the other side that they're kind of trying to highlight, they can say, well, this is exploitative and stupid and actually like hurts our causes and messages and things like that. But they'll be back. They're always back. They're always gonna find a way to monetize on culture, culture. All right, anything else to say about that?
No, I hope that it comes out in some form, and
it has to get leaked. I'll do anything, please. If anyone's listening and they have access to this, send it to us. I'll do anything to watch this footage.
That'd be a great.
If it exists.
But,
all right, should we move on to what do you want to do next? You want to talk about
Zendaya
and
Zaya?
I don't know. I think it's Zendaya.
I've heard her herself call herself Zendaya, but she could be wrong.
Oh, well, if she says it, she could be wrong. Oh, I always thought it was Zendaya. Okay, Zendaya. No, I do like to get people's names correct. Except I will always say Kamala Harris. I'm not gonna pronounce it the way she wants. This fucker. Because I've been saying it for too long. But Zendaya. Okay, and Jordan Peele. So. I guess you read the last thing. I can read this.
You want to do a brief description?
So Jordan Peele's was earlier. This was back in, I think it was December 2020.
So Jordan Peele,
no, it's way before that. I don't know why it came back up. 2019. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was basically Jordan Peele said this. Okay, so he's talking. So again, I like to give context for stuff because obviously, all of these outlets, they just get the screen grab and get you all riled up and clicking. But I do want to give some context. So he was speaking at New York's Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. Sounds like a very tame and level-headed place. This is who he recently released the movie Us, which I thought was very average. It was okay. And of course, everything's about race. It sounded like he didn't really it's not like he kind of just came out and said the following, but he was asked questions. And according to the Hollywood Reporter, he says, I don't see myself casting a white dude as the lead in my movie. Not that I don't like white dudes, but I've seen that movie. Then he goes on to say, the way I feel at it, I get to cast I get to cast to black people. This is random. I get to cast black people in my movies. I feel fortunate to be in this position where I can say to Universal, I want to make a 20 million horror movie with a black family, and they say yes. Should we discuss that or move on to Zendaya? Because they're very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar. Yeah, so you want to
so
yeah,
Zendaya,
yeah.
this is in Vogue. This is more recent.
Yeah.
You know, the article's not about the race, but of course it goes to that. And she says basically about her future. If I ever do become a filmmaker, I know that the leads in my films will always be black women, and that's certainly on her list. On set, she likes to sit near the monitors and ask questions. Okay, so anyway, she's learning how to become a director, so it looks like she will definitely direct a movie at some time in the future, probably in the near future.
Yep.
But that's it. It's if I ever become, I know my leads in the films will always be black women, and I don't know. Maybe you and I might have some different opinions on this. Do you want to? Because you brought this to my attention. I didn't know about any of this until a few days ago.
Right.
Do you want to give your takes on it?
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings. I'm largely critical of their takes on this, but I can see where they're coming from to an extent. So let me say right off the bat, I have no problems with a filmmaker saying, I want to make a film about this minority group or that or that has a woman in the lead. I have no problems with that if it's a creative decision.
Yeah.
My criticism is that at least with Zendaya for sure, because the line that she says just before saying when I make a film, it's going to have a black woman in the lead. She says that
I missed something.
I don't know. She believes that art is a huge catalyst for change, and then right after she says that she wants to cast black women. So it's like, okay, if she were to say, like, like I want to do a film about a black woman, I think there's a lot of good stories out there that revolve around black women that I want to share with the world. That's cool. That's fine. I got nothing against that. But the fact that she thinks that she believes art is a huge catalyst for change, it's like, okay, this isn't a creative decision. This is more driven by ideology. That's what bothers me. And like, I would be giving the exact same amount of shit to a white filmmaker who's like, I'm only going to cast white men in my film.
Oh, yeah, well, that would never happen.
Yeah, that would never happen.
Hold on, but I'm glad you said that, because that is obviously the knee-jerk reaction. And of course, I love in the Evening Standard or whatever, the Jordan Peele one I was reading, they pull up, and this is what you notice they do now, or they've been doing. They have like a tweet in the center of the article, right? Showing like, if I'm a white man, if I said that, and then you click on it and it's like just some guy. It's like a guy with like 800 followers. And it's like, it's not some other director saying that or a politician or an actor. It's just some guy. But like, that's supposed to represent a whole kind of response. Which is true. That response does exist. And we all know that if a white act, but here's the thing, it comes full circle. Now, I'm going to give my take on what they have to say, but I actually think only very recently it would not only be acceptable, but applauded for a white director to say, I'm only going to make white stories, because if they made other stories, they would be appropriating culture. They would not be telling their truth, all that kind of bullshit. Right. So actually it's funny because it's so like backwards. It's like if 3-4 years ago, it would obviously be, oh, well, if a white director saying he's not going to cast black actors or Latino actors or whatever it is, that's extremely racist. But now it's almost like, well, racism has changed, like all these definitions. No, he might be applauded. No, you're sticking to your kind, which is what the woke mob wants now. I don't agree with any of this.
Of course,
I think anyone should make some of the greatest stories, greatest, are directed by this race, starring these types of people, vice versa, whatever it is, women telling men's stories, gay men telling straight men's stories. It doesn't fucking matter. It's about the quality of the content and the substance. But because it's so racialized, everything's racialized. I could actually see a world where that's applauded for a white director to say, I'm only going to tell white stories, which sounds so fucking weird, right? It sounds off, but the world is, our culture is off in the sense. Now,
you make a good point about that sort of stay in your laneism. That's so popular.
Stick to your kind.
And it's funny
it's called, there's a word for it. It's called segregation.
Exactly.
We used to call it that.
Well, it's that weird sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if a white male
Yes.
director says, "I'm only going to cast white males in my leads," there's a part of the woke culture that be like, that's racist. You're not being diverse, inclusive enough. And then if a director says, okay, if a white male director says, I'm going to start making movies about black women because I think those stories need to be told, then it's like, that's not your story to tell.
Well,
So it's like, okay, well then what do I do?
So and I'll tell you what if this continues, the end result of this, the only reasonable end result to all of this, and their logic is, well, no more white male directors. That's the point, is you've made movies for 100 years.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, about 100 years. Okay, you're done. Like, I'm serious. That is the end logic, because it can't go anywhere else.
Right.
So I hope that doesn't happen, because most of the best directors are white men. It's just a numbers game.
Right.
And I think that is changing, but that's fine. So to kind of defend them now, I think Jordan Peele is more defensible, because he says, like, the point he's making is there are so many. So this is in the context of horror movies, which he makes, kind of horror, psychological thriller type stuff, which I love that genre. He's like, well, we've seen that so many times, as basically, if you just phrase it differently, if he was like, as a black director who grew up loving horror movies, which were almost always, centered on white people and white families, sometimes with kind of collateral black characters. Not that there weren't black horror movies, there were, but no, the really famous ones, the popular ones, almost always until very recently, were white characters. I just want to create those sorts of movies, but with black characters at the forefront, because that's what I know best, because I'm a black man, right? If he had said that, I don't think it would, or something along those lines, I don't think it would have been nearly as controversial. It actually makes sense to me. If he were to come out and say, like, well, I'm going to do an Asian movie and then a Latino movie and then a white, like, it doesn't really make sense. And it's like, well, now is kind of one of the first times in American history where we have big production money going to a black director to make horror movies, which I think, out of most genres, I think horror is like one of the whitest genres in terms of appeal, right? I have no statistics to back that up. It just feels that way.
Did you say whitest or widest?
Whitest. Like, I feel like white people I think horror has the most white viewers out of any genre, where other genres are more diverse in their viewership. I don't know, but it feels that way. It feels like, I don't know if there are as many black people who love Halloween and The Exorcist and Friday the 13th. Like, it seems like it's more of an appeal to white. And I see same with, I think, superhero movies up till recently, which is why Black Panther was so important.
Yeah.
So I do understand that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I don't even necessarily disagree with the mission of, like, I want to see more diverse stories on the screen. I don't necessarily disagree with that general intent. I think for me, where I kind of start rolling my eyes is when you have celebrities making these grand declarations. It's like, don't tell, because, like, for me, it's like, I want the art to speak for itself. I don't want to have the filmmaker explain to me what their political intent was with the film. It's like, no, just do it and just let me figure it out. So for example, I know this is kind of a tangent, but like Metallica, like, not many people know this, but like, Kirk Hammett, the lead guitarist, is actually Filipino. Nobody noticed that the guitarist of the biggest heavy metal band of all time was Asian. Nobody noticed because nobody cared. They just made music. Metallica doesn't go out and say, we want more diversity in heavy metal. It's like, no, they just went out and fucking did it. So for me, it's just like, I would have more respect for Jordan Peele or Zendaya if they were like, I'm gonna make movies.
Well, I feel a little differently about Zendaya, and I'll get to that. And I think, and to be fair, I think many people, in these cases, they're both black. Or she?
I think she's half black.
Is she, like, okay. Anyway, she's very, very exotic looking, as what's his name, Creed would say in The Office. You're very exotic looking. Was your father a GI? Ridiculous things. Like, that would, you would not see that in a network sitcom today. That kind of line, which is unfortunate, because it's a very funny line. He says it to Rashida Jones, who is very exotic looking. She's half white. Quincy Jones is her fucking dad. Like, he's very unique looking and very beautiful. So she's Congresswoman number one by far.
Yeah.
Anyway, to be fair though, I think there is a huge portion of let's say minorities who do agree with you, who are like, no, I don't want to be the first black such and such. I just want to be the such and such, like, or just be the coach, the actor, the whatever it is.
Right.
I don't want that. A lot of them say that, not all of them. I think it's, I bet there are even some who are like, well, I don't want to be known as the best black director. I just want to be the best director, like,
right. Yeah.
or whatever. So I do want to be fair there. Unfortunately, so much of it is racialized. And so to talk about Zendaya, it's like, my thing with her is what I tell, she'll never hear this, but what I tell people is like, well, just wait, because it'll come for you. Because you're saying black women. Well, next is going to be black trans women or black non-binary women. Or like it's never going to. And then my example for this was, I brought her up recently. Who was Captain Marvel?
Oh, Brie Larson.
She said something like, there's too many, white men being cast in these movies or whatever. And there's like a petition to have Captain Marvel changed to like a trans woman of color or something. I'm like, see, it's always going to come for you. So don't, like, it should be about the substance, about the quality. Like, do I want more diverse stories? Are those diverse stories going to be Parasite? Then fuck yeah, because that's an incredible movie. Are they going to be just like schlocky crap? Like, no, I want good movies. Yes. And could Parasite be told in the slums of Paris about Moroccan immigrants, or in the slums of Rio, or the Bronx or something? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It'd obviously be a little different. But I want good movies. Right. Exactly. If they're all of a certain race or religion or gender, that's awesome. Like, I don't care if they're all diverse. None of them are by straight white men. That's fine too, because they're good to great to excellent movies. Right. Exactly. And it's, this touches on something that I've been thinking a lot about, especially these last few years. It seems like when a great movie or TV show or novel comes out and people love it and it's widely acclaimed by critics and audiences, and nobody cares about the race or the gender or the sexuality, because the creator was just like, I just wanted to tell a good story. It just happened to be about a gay character, or it just happened to be about a black character or a female or whatever. But and which is why I get critical when I see creators saying things like, oh, like, I want my film to be for this group or for that demographic. It's like, okay, but then the whole, what you're saying is, I don't care if you watch, I only want this group of people to watch it. And it's like, but at the same time, you also want to decrease bigotry. Like, like for me, let's take me for example. I'm Latino and I'm trying to get into the film industry. And there are some stories that I want to tell that they maybe revolve around Mexican culture. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to do it in a way where it's, only Mexicans will understand. It's like, no, I want to do it in a way where anybody can watch it and enjoy it. And then if there is somebody in the audience who doesn't like Mexicans, if they watch the movie, they go, oh, there's much more to Mexican culture than I realized. It's like, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to just say, hey, hit different. It might hit different to different people. So like, first of all, and I know, like, I'm not saying because you said, like, what is Mexican culture? Well, you've never lived in Mexico, right? No. So like, and you've only lived in California, and you're you lived in Northern California, live in Southern California now. Like, I'm sure it'd be very, not just Mexican culture, but like California, Mexico. I'm assuming, so I would assume you wouldn't go set a show on a border town in Texas. Maybe, I don't know. But so like, what I don't like is when people, I'm not saying you were doing this at all, but this often happens where it's like, I don't think that like black people in Harlem are the same as black people in Atlanta and the same as black people in like Los Angeles. Like they're not all the same. And I think that same with like Mexicans in Texas, or Mexicans in Houston are probably different than Mexicans in Dallas. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems silly. And that happens because people, usually white liberals, wanted to paint with broad strokes and just be like, and here's what I'm noticing. And another Jordan Peele article I read, it was I was looking for the same thing, but this was, now the term, because there's been somewhat of a backlash to saying things like a black audience or black people or a Latino audience. It's not about that anymore. It's about putting the noun of blackness
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it's like centering blackness. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
Like
I know.
centering blackness, centering like the Asian experience. Like you can just take millions of people and say they all experience the same thing. Like that's just
Right.
to me that's so offensive.
Yeah.
And you notice that because like a lot of black people during, for instance, the election where all this was starting is like, no, or during the past, 18 months, we're like, no, we don't want to defund the police, or no, we're not going to vote for Biden, or we ain't black, or like this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well now it's like, well, so you don't count. Because you know what? If that was the case, you know who the governor of California would be right now? Larry Elder.
Right,
if it was true. It's not about that. And I just would love if people said that, because it's not about black. It's about black if you agree with us and all this stuff. If not, no, well, Larry Elder's not black. No, of course not, because he doesn't represent blackness, even though he grew up in South Central or Compton and, made himself and all of that shit.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not what our definition of blackness is, which is so fucking offensive to me.
Yeah. Well, it's like that New York Times journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones, the 1619 Project lady.
I was trying to think of her name. Yeah, she
Yeah.
said.
She's talking about like there's racially black and then there's politically black. So it's like fuck you. Like,
yeah, fuck. Like we know what you're doing. She deleted that tweet, by the way. She knew it was like, oh, too far. Test the waters. Too far.
Yeah, but it's like fuck you.
They'll come back. Yeah, politically black. What the fuck does that mean, lady? Like.
It's like no, you're you're politically black when you agree with us, but then but it's like if you're a conservative, and it's like that completely changes your blackness. It's like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, it's not even being it's not just a conservative. It's like, well, if you disagree with like anything, like you have any outside opinion of like the progressive, liberal progressive, that like end of the left wing, social, really not economic, because that's never really part of the culture war, unfortunately. It's
I know.
like social crap.
If
you don't agree with any of that stuff, then no. Well, you might be black, but you're not politically black. You're not representing black.
Yeah.
And every race kind of has it, but that's obviously at the forefront.
Yeah. But I
don't know if we want a lot of people being politically white. I'm not sure if that's what we want.
I know.
A coalition. That's what I don't get. It's like you have all of these teachers. It's like these what I call crits now. I read that in a book. So like CRT, critical theory. So
crits.
Yeah, crits, which I'm gonna bring back. I read in an essay from like the 90s. All these crit teachers who are like telling all these young white boys that they're like superior. I don't think you want that. I don't think you want a bunch of like young white men being told they're superior because of their race. That hasn't worked out well in the past. Like,
did you ever see that video? I can't remember the comedian, but it went viral a while back. But it was like when woke people and racists agree.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
And then, that was so good. But they're like the woke person was like. White privilege is something that exists, and then the racist goes, "You're right, it is privilege being white." It's
like people should only marry should only marry their own race. And people say it at the same time. I agree with that. I forget. No, but it's like I agree with that, except for Jews.
Yeah.
The racist. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's true though. That it's the horror. I mean, I'm politically, I don't believe in the spectrum, even though I use the term. I believe much more in the quadrants, I guess, when we talk about politics, and that it's actually what's way more important, I think, is not the left right, it's the up and down authoritarian. And both sides have the authoritarian bent and both sides have a libertarian bent. I think that's much more of an issue. Doesn't mean that like if you're at the bottom far right, you're going to agree with the bottom far left. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I do think in terms of like power structures and stuff like that, and the way that politics is run, that's much more telling, I think, of what people actually think. And or the horseshoe theory, which is obviously extremes. It's just very similar, and that's what you see in that joke with the racist and the wokest. Is just when you go too far, you start to bend and together each other.
And I mean, and it's funny, and again, another tangent, but like, I've written quite a few woke critical articles since I started writing on Medium. And it's so funny when woke people criticize me in the comments, and they always bring up my race or my gender or my sexuality. They almost never bring up my arguments. Like it's like they never say, hey, here's where your argument doesn't make sense, or here's where your logic fails. it's always like, you're a straight white man, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, well, first, where in my article did I say that I was straight? Where did I say that I wasn't trans?
Yeah.
Where did I say like that? It was like, look at my last name. What makes you think I'm? But it's just like they automatically assume that my identity plays into,
Yeah.
Is what informs my thoughts.
Do you
They
consider
never.
yourself to be white?
I don't know. That's a weird thing.
It is weird because I don't think people realize like Latin America and people who come from there, it's like very diverse.
Yeah,
Like
it's
very,
a complicated history. Yeah,
like Louis C.K.'s dad is Mexican.
yeah.
Like, or like lived in Mexico, I think he's Hungarian ethnically, but like they lived in Mexico. So you have Mexicans from Hungary, and that's why he has like red hair and shit like that, and it's freckles. And I mean, his mother might be Irish, but anyway, like what I love about that so much though is because again, now that the Latino vote, what the Democrats thought was going to be solidly Democratic, and they were going to win because of the growing how much the population grew, when they splintered off. And Trump alone, he won like a huge section of the Latino vote, and some states really turned. Now it changed to my favorite one was some fucking I think it was somewhere in California where it was like white Latino officer shoots like unarmed whatever, and it's like, you have never said white Latino in your entire life. Like now that's first of all, the guy was like just looked like tan Latin American man, right? He didn't like not white, but I mean the movie Roma showed this. It was like the wealthy family was very much more European descended, where the help, which with the center was much more the native dark indigenous descent. Yeah. But so I don't think people realize that, but now that it's like white passings become a thing because everything has to be racialized.
About a year ago, I was with a girl, and she was lecturing me. She was oh yeah, chick, yeah. No, that was this girl was
lecturing.
She was lecturing me because I told her this is just before the election, just before the 2020 election, and I said that I didn't plan on voting, and I didn't vote.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah, yeah, all right. But like she's very woke, but like in the same lecture, she brought up like how my being Mexican was reason to vote against Trump because Trump hates Mexicans. So it's like, okay. On the one hand, she's saying that I'm some kind of a victim. Trump hates Mexicans. He's going to come after me because of my ethnicity. Yeah. And then in the exact same, like a few minutes later, she brings up how I'm white passing. Therefore, I don't understand what minorities are going through. So it's like, but that's exactly.
Was this a white chick?
Yes, she's white.
Of course.
She was. White progressive. Yeah, like, but that's exactly.
Her last name's like O'Flanagan, Malley, right?
But yeah, it's exactly. It's exactly that logic of like, I'm white and I'm progressive, therefore I know more than you, minority.
Yes.
When you agree with me, then great, we're best friends. But when you disagree with me, then you're basically a white supremacist to me, even though you're a minority.
Or you're uneducated. It's like very condescending. Like, well, it's okay. Let me educate you on your own experience and well-being and what you should think. I went to school for this. With a very liberal arts confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we didn't know each other for that long, so it's not like she knew my upbringing. She didn't know what challenges or privileges I had growing up. So it's like, shut up. Don't.
You should have been like, have you heard of El Chapo? That's my grandfather. So shut up. We capture girls like you down there.
Oh man, but woke people are stupid, and
I feel bad because we're always ripping on them, which we should. But I've tried to get in this before. Should we talk about like right-wing cancel culture at all, because it does exist?
Yes.
We talked about it a little before.
Has it happened recently? Does it?
Well, I don't know.
I know of a handful of cases at universities where like a right-wing professor was trying to shut down like some kind of a left-wing, student group or something.
Well, I haven't heard anything about that. I mean more of almost, we see it all the time on the left where it's the left going after people supposedly on left, those people end up leaving. Yeah. Because they're like, oh shit, now I see that they're crazy. But how about the most recent example so you usually see right-wing cancel culture more with like patriotism and nationalism and that sort of stuff. Again, I don't consider boycotting to be cancel culture. I want to make that clear because they get conflated a lot. I know I talked about a couple episodes back. So like the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, like, no, that's not cancel culture. You can criticize him and you can boycott watching football. That's the cancel culture would be you try and shut down them playing football.
Yes.
Or you attack him, or you dox him, you whatever, threaten his family, which he very well might have gotten, but not just like the boycotting thing. Like that's just consumers expressing the very little power that consumers have, and that's fine. And if anyone wants to do that, so I remember like the Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Oh,
so that was a big one. Where the owner, who's a vet, of course, and not only a vet, like did really crazy missions, really dangerous stuff, and fought a lot of bad guys. And he said some comment about like he didn't want, I think it was to do with the January 6th protests,
I think so,
and like he didn't want people like that drinking his coffee, and I think what he meant by that was the people who are really doing terrible stuff, like, which I think was a very small portion of that. I think people got really out of hand. A lot of people just kind of walked in and walked around, did nothing. Not them. The people who were like farting on Nancy Pelosi's desk and the guy in the Viking, like those creepy, disgusting people. That's what he meant. And of course, there's a big backlash to that.
Right.
I don't know if he was. I don't think he was he was definitely a right wing guy. It's kind of, I think, run of the mill right wing guy. I believe he's Jewish also. But there was backlash to that. Where so that was just an example about like kind of a right wing example. I can't really think of others. It definitely happens, and it's like, oh yeah, you do see it.
It's definitely happened a lot in the past. I mean, like you saw like with like Dixie Chicks and like
but at the same time, is Dixie Chicks, is that just boycotting? Like where they just kind of, they're from Texas. And they just kind of like, all right, we're not going to listen to your music anymore, unless it was more nefarious than that. I don't know.
I don't really remember. I do remember that like their popularity just dropped. I don't know if it was something where it was like
canceling would be like would be like
if venues
threatening a venue that would happen. Maybe it did happen. That was a crazy. This was like early mid 2000s. It was like a crazy time. Maybe it did happen, like bomb threats because they were going to play at some venue in Dallas.
Right.
And like that would obviously be very like toxic kind of cancel culture stuff.
Right.
It's just like, all right, well, we're not listening to music anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, we'll think of them. Well, I just kind of threw this in here. I've been meaning to talk about it.
We should do an episode, maybe like a sort of retrospective on right wing cancel culture to kind of balance out or something.
So the most recent one I can think of that it wasn't like right on right cancel culture. It was like the Lil Nas X video. Where it almost felt like we were back in the 90s because it was like Satan and sexuality and think of the children and all that stuff. And I was like, oh man, it's kind of like a throwback, like right-wing people losing their shit over like kind of satanic stuff. Like that was kind of fun. So that was an example. But again, criticism isn't cancel culture, but other stuff is. I don't know. But I don't know. I just kind of threw it in there. I didn't want to talk, so I wanted to continue our running segment of, I meant to say this earlier, is OJ Simpson coming on the show?
Yes.
Still no, he's not. But, just to update the viewers on that one. Trying to get OJ on the show. Juice,
keep trying.
Listening, come on the show.
Speaking of OJ, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, I was like, where are you going with this one, Joe? Norm Macdonald. We'll wrap up with him. We like to pay tribute to dangerous dangerous artists who push the envelope, who stand up for free speech. And Norm Macdonald passed away last week. At the age of, I believe, 61. He had cancer, which just shows he comes from a different era where like he didn't say anything about it. It was just sudden. And he wasn't on TikTok and shit, like talking about, which for some people it might be actually really good. So I don't want to say that.
Sure.
But you could tell, like, it was just, it was different. Norm, we're not going to like do his bits, obviously, but he was unbelievable. And I almost mean that literally. Like, you listen to some of the stuff he said, and it was unbelievable that was on like SNL or something. Where you watch SNL now, it's just like, oh, this is wine mom, crappy PC jokes about
yeah.
Donald Trump has small hands. Like,
Yeah.
great one, guys. But yeah, so we love Norm. I'm sure he's been Googled more times this week than in the past decade, because of his passing. I said I wasn't gonna do any of his bits, but like, did you see the Andy Richter one?
Which one? The joke that he did on Conan?
Yeah,
Was it Andy Richter, the Swedish German? Yeah.
And he's like, and it's like, well, four people are gonna know that you did this. Me, you, Andy Richter, the Swedish German, and the guy who held him down. It's like, and Andy's like, well, at least you gave me your dignity. It's like, no, you're not gay. You got raped. It's like, can you imagine that being said to? And Conan just gets up and he's like, Jesus Christ.
Norm had great. Like he was terrific at understatement. That was like such a gift of his. Like, when he had that show where he would just bring on, he had a few shows, but there was one where he would read on like really offensive, inappropriate jokes, and the way he would, like, rape was almost always one of the punchlines. But like the way he was like, he was talking about like, I can't remember the joke, but he was talking about like, oh, don't do that, or else you'll go to hell and you'll be condemned to an eternity of getting raped by the devil. It's just like, he'll just throw in rape, everything. But the reason, the reason why we brought up the O.J. Simpson thing is because back when we were kids, Norm Macdonald was doing the Weekend Update on SNL.
Yeah.
And he made a ton of O.J. Simpson jokes, which is widely believed. Yeah, which is widely believed to be the reason why he was kicked off. He wasn't kicked off by Lorne Michaels, the executive producer and creator of SNL. He's kicked off by Don Ohlmeyer, the head of NBC at the time, who happened to be very good friends with O.J. Simpson. So it was sort of like a personal grudge getting back at Norm Macdonald. But the fact that Norm Macdonald, he just went up there and it was just making fun of, and then so he got kicked off of Weekend Update, and he stayed on the show for a little bit, but then he ended up doing film and other things, and then he came back a few years later. Did you ever see the opening monologue for when he came back to SNL?
No, but I have to.
It's great, and he just rips on the show, and he's just like, back
when was this? Like, what time period?
Probably early 2000s. So I think he got kicked off the show back in like 96, I think, and then he came back probably like early 2000s, something like that. And he goes, oh, so, the show hasn't been very good since I left. But it turns out that the show is just really bad ever since I left. And then so people, like, you can tell the audience was like, people were laughing. People were kind of like, oh, shit, I can't believe he said that. And he's all right, but thanks for coming out, everybody. We got a bad show for you tonight.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're just like, hey, cool, I'll come back to host SNL again, but I'm going to be shitting on you guys the whole time, though. So it's like, man,
it was a different breed. His delivery was incredible. Again, it's hard to. I've said this before. I write movie reviews, like pocket movie reviews, and comedies are always the hardest to write about.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's one of those things, like you got to be there, you got to be listening or watching or whatever it is. His delivery was impeccable. Everything. Now, I don't know his material well enough to know, like, it almost sounds like everything is just off the cuff.
Yes.
It's definitely not the case. Like, he definitely has this stuff written down, he's practiced it, but the way it's as if he's just riffing and they're just gold. It's amazing. But it's and then this and then this and then this and then the punchline and boom. And it all sounds like you just kind of thought of it right there. But at the same time, I have seen some of his stand-up where it is unplanned, because someone said he was in San Francisco ripping on San Francisco, as one does at any city they visit, right? So it's kind of fun to like rip on where you are. And then he's like, I live in LA, and someone did just yell out something to him about OJ, and he did just kind of go into something that definitely was not planned. I mean, of course it's plenty of OJ material, but it was like new stuff. You could tell it wasn't like he just brought up some old joke. And so he was incredible. He was a comedian's comedian, which I'm not a comedian, but they're usually some of my favorite because they're dark and say what they want to say. And
I saw him perform live at
nice.
the San Jose Improv, and it was terrific. And before him, the opening acts were a couple of dumb, awkward millennial comedians. And the difference between them versus someone like Norm is astronomical. Like somebody who just has a master of his craft and he's been doing this for decades. Like the difference was so huge. And every joke landed with such a hard punch. I mean, he was like a boxer up there. And I remember he ended the show by telling us, so, yeah, I got the funniest joke you're ever gonna hear. Trust me, this is like you'll never laugh harder. And then he told the joke, and it was fucking hilarious, and brought the house down. And now I can't remember the joke. Like it was like so good, people can't remember it. Yeah, I mean, the way he's able to come up on stage and just act like he came up like a dude who's just pointing things out. But the mob came after him during his life. There were a couple of controversies.
Well, of course, there's always even after he passed away, these fucking idiots couldn't give him like a day. The body's still warm, and they're like, actually, he was very like trans exclusive during his comedic show. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. He was like, the guy just died. Just let the people like him. He wasn't, Idi Amin or something. Like, just let him fucking have his well, he's dead, but let us have our moment basically with him instead of you bringing up some like you're not gonna. No one who loved Norm Macdonald, even liked him, is gonna go, holy shit, this writer from The Guardian just like totally changed my mind on Norm Macdonald. Like no one's gonna fucking do that. Like you're just scoring those points with your base that I guess these people need because they have nothing else and they're sad, miserable, horrible people.
I'm just like,
and on that note,
I know it's like I want to make a deal with him. It's like, all right, you leave Norm Macdonald the fuck alone after he's dead. And we'll leave Lena Dunham alone when she dies of a triple bypass, fucking,
Yeah, but even if even when Lena Dunham dies, I'm not gonna go write. That's not gonna be like my catalyst to write about. Lena Dunham was actually like really problematic. Like I'm not gonna fucking do that.
But real quick, I just want to talk a little bit about the controversy that he got into. So this is back in 2017 or 2018 when he got a show on Netflix. It only got one season. He was talking to the Hollywood Reporter about how the Me Too movement seemed to be kind of slowing down a little bit. And he's talking about how like prominent people accused of wrongdoing and kind of how like their careers were cut short. So here's a quote here. The model used to be admit wrongdoing, show complete contrition, and then we give you a second chance. Now it's admit wrongdoing and you're finished. So he brings up a good point about how a lot of people, get in trouble and they're not given second chances. I do think that at some point it will end with a completely innocent person of prominence sticking a gun in his head and ending it. So he's talking, but then he got a bunch of, this caused a huge backlash against him because people were saying, oh, you're victim blaming or you're victim shaming. You're sticking up for the accused more than the accusers. It's like, no, he's just bringing nuance to the conversation.
And so anyways, sticking up for the accused, like, first of all, the accusers have like nothing to do with it. Yeah. Like the vast majority, it'd be like maybe one or however many, some people, like those are the accusers, not like he's talking about the mob that comes after. Yeah. That comes after you. Like they're the ones who ruin people's lives. A lot of times even the accusers forgive, but the mob doesn't. Right. Yeah. And then, so he apologized for that, for that statement. And then he got more controversy for that apology. And so he's like, look, I want to clarify what I was saying. I was not saying like, let's ignore, the actual victims. I'm just saying, let's do this. But look, and then here's this quote. You'd have to have Down syndrome to not feel sorry for harassment victims. And then they freaked out over his use of the term Down syndrome. Of course. I mean, so then he had to apologize. And then he apologized for the apology for the apology. So it's just kind of like, but I think he's obviously doing that on purpose, right? Or no?
I don't know. He went on The View to apologize for the apology for the apology. He seemed pretty. I don't know. I don't know if it's sort of like in his old age, he's just sort of like, all right, I'm not going to fight the mob anymore. I'm just going to give them what they want so I can move on. But I don't know. I hope it's like a troll. Like, oh, like each apology is going to be more offensive than the last.
It sounds like he's just trolling him. Like every time it's like, oh, I apologize for that one. And like, I think if you're getting shit for the first thing, the victim blaming, whatever, I think he knows that he can't say the Down syndrome line. Like I think he knows, but like it sounds like he's trolling.
Maybe. So it sounds like I think there was another quote where he didn't use the word retarded, but he was going to use it, but then he stopped short and used Down syndrome instead because it sounded less offensive.
Is that less offensive? It's way more offensive.
There's a quote. Where is it? There used to be a word we all used to say to mean stupid that we don't use anymore, McDonald said. And stupidly, I was about to say that word and then stopped and thought about it. What's the right word to say? McDonald said as soon as he said Down syndrome, he knew he had said something unforgivable. So it sounded like he was going to say retarded, but then went with Down syndrome.
I don't know, but he was the real deal. And
yeah. And we'll pour one out for you, Mick.
Yeah.
Donald.
McDonald.
But yeah.
Wait, who's McDonald?
Norm. Old man McDonald.
Oh, Norm Macdonald. Wait.
Yeah.
What? His last name's McDonald?
Yeah.
Why does that sound so weird to me right now? Norm McDormand? Norm Macdonald. Oh shit. I guess I've never heard him just being called McDonald.
Yeah. I think this is the first time anybody's ever called him by his last name.
Oh, yeah, Norm Macdonald. I guess yeah. All right. That sounded weird. I was like, wait, who's McDonald? Like, who the fuck is that? Like Norm Macdonald. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I'm officially coming to Los Angeles, baby.
Yeah.
If they let me off the plane there.
Yeah. I'm not going to be in town at that time, and but I hope you find a place to stay at. I think Vinny and Pat are going to be out of town as well.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm just going to be berating people in upscale neighborhoods, asking them if they know who really killed Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. That's why I'm coming to find the real killers. That's my mission. I'm like a white woman with a podcast. I'm getting to the bottom of this thing. It's the last thing I do. OJ, if you're listening, can you please help me? Listen, I'm trying to acquit you. Not literally, the jury did that, but the trial by media, I'm trying to acquit you of your crimes here. So please answer my direct messages on Twitter and come on the show sometime.
Yeah, let us know a couple of time slots and we'll try to pencil you in.
Yeah.
But
anything else?
Yeah. Okay. So when you come down here, we're still working out the specific details. When you come down here, we plan on recording a couple of in-person episodes.
With some guests we've had on already, and
maybe we should do what else we should do when you're down here is like we'll do like a few like little mini episodes where it's like, all right, cool, like here we are at the Hollywood sign. Let's chat for a few minutes about this, whatever. Or, hey, we're at a famous restaurant. Ben, what do you think of that? It's just do some
looks good to me.
Get
some real hard hitting
journalism.
I like it. Get me off of this street before I get stabbed. God damn it. I am terrified.
And then Halloween's coming up, so we're gonna be doing some horror episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing horror. I think probably the next episode will be horror themed.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll discuss about that. All right, stay tuned. Last thing, seriously though, last thing I'll bring up again. I need a new nationality to arbitrarily hate because Australians are back on my good side.
Yeah. Oh, they are? Oh, that's right, because of the thing. Yeah.
Like they're protesting a lot of union stuff. Sticking up for themselves. Good. I'm glad. So if anyone has any suggestions, again, this isn't racial. It's not it's not Australians come in all shades and colors and religions. So it's just I need a nationality to hate because I have to fill that Australian hole in my heart.
Yeah.
They caught a lot of my ire and rancor in the past. So let's find another country to hate on.
Yeah. That'd be
or
fun.
People. Yeah, more of the people. Yeah, for me. And the government. But I hate all governments.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We good?
All right, everyone. Yeah. All right, Ben, stay reckless.
Stay reckless, Joe.
All right. Bye, everyone.